Hey everybody, I'm Tim Ward and welcome back to Garden Sense. Well, we've got 5 or 6 questions that we want to address here today. And after those questions, we want to introduce to you a brand new online tool that we have exclusively available to you over at rosensonline.com. But first, the questions, so why don't we jump right in? The first question for today is from John. Hey Tim, I have a 3-year-old Japanese red maple. One of the main branches started showing signs of a disease. I did cut that branch off. The rest of the tree is looking healthy and full of life and color. Did I do the right thing? Hey John, so I don't know exactly what disease your red maple was struggling with, but chances are you did the right thing. Unfortunately, there are a number of diseases out there where the best way to treat it is to actually get rid of it completely so that it doesn't infect the rest of the tree. This is the same thing when you have insect infestations and you start to see nests. Sometimes it's just easier and better for the tree to hack it off and let the rest of the tree grow healthy. Now, I know that that can be difficult to do. You've already taken that important step, and I'm sure the tree may look a little bit funny because you did say that it's a main branch that you cut off. However, what we want to do is make sure now that we feed that tree as best we can. So I'd recommend putting down Plant Trust fertilizer right now to help that red maple. In addition, I would also strongly consider using Kickstart a couple of times over the summer to really strengthen that root system. Look, anytime that you cut off branches, especially main branches on trees, it can kind of shock the tree a little bit. So making sure that you're feeding it well with Plant Trust and helping to strengthen that root system with Kickstart is definitely what you're going to want to focus on here in the next couple of weeks. The next question is from Marcia. Hey Tim, my 40-year-old lilac bush is hardly producing any blooms. What can I do now to give it a kickstart so hopefully it will produce more blooms next year? So there are actually 2 products that we recommend using. The first that you want to get down right now is Garden Trust. We have talked a lot about Garden Trust on this program this year, and I'll be real honest with you, I don't think we can talk enough about it. If you have a garden, whether it's a vegetable garden or a flower garden, if you have trees or bushes that produce beautiful flowers and love to bloom, then you absolutely want to use Garden Trust. It has a very balanced NPK profile, and the type of nutrition it offers is perfect for your lilac bush. Now, putting that down now might help a little bit, certainly this spring in terms of the blooms that it does have, making them a little bit brighter, making them last a little bit longer. But we're also gonna help get this bush on the right track for next year as well. So one of the things that we wanna do, in addition to Garden Trust, is to put down Kickstart. We talk about Kickstart a lot for lawns, but it's also a fantastic fertilizer enhancement product for bushes, for gardens, for trees. So we would absolutely want to put that down a couple of times over the course of the next several months. The reason for that is it's actually going to work directly with Garden Trust, and it's going to help that lilac bush pull in more of the nutrition that Garden Trust has made available. The stronger a plant's roots are, the more nutrition, more food, more nutrients that it can pull in, the healthier it's going to be. So again, get down Garden Trust right now, and then I would also put down Kickstart here in the next couple of days after you put down Garden Trust. And then again, I would hit that bush a couple of times over the course of the summer, again with Kickstart, just to really keep those roots strong. The third question is from Jack. Hey Tim, we have a row of over 100 feet of dwarf boxwoods that have some areas that are somewhat yellow. What is the remedy? So there are a couple of reasons why your boxwoods may be starting to yellow in spots. The first just could be the weather. There are still parts of the country that are experiencing frost. I don't know if that's where you are, but oftentimes because the temperatures are so warm during the day and then it can drop and frost overnight, it can actually cause some damage to plants, and boxwoods are no exception to that. The second thing is excessive heat. That's probably not what you're experiencing right now, but again, that is a common problem with boxwoods. It's just getting too much sun and it's getting too much heat. And in that case, the remedy is simply to try and make sure that it has enough water to fend off any damage that might be occurring to it. But again, it's a little bit early for excess heat at this point. My guess would be, again, I don't know where you are in the country, but chances are it's not that. The next thing could be actually a box blight. If that's the case, and it sounds like it's probably a mild case of box blight, you can use Monterey Complete Plant Disease Control. It's a really great product. We have it available over at Rosen's online, so you can go ahead and spray down the bushes to kind of help eradicate that box blight. The other thing you may want to consider is just feeding it. We would recommend feeding all of your boxwoods with Plant Trust. Now is a great time to do that. And again, you can pick it up over at rosensonline.com. The fourth thing that really it could be is some type of insect infestation. It doesn't sound like that to me, but that is a common problem among boxwoods that causes yellowing. Again, based on the way you've described it, I don't think that's it. But if you ever do have an insect problem, we would actually recommend BioAdvance 3-in-1. It helps with disease, insects, and mites. It's a great product. And again, it's over at rosensonline.com. This next question is from Thomas. Hey, Tim, this is growing in a patch in my backyard. Can you please identify it for me and what to use to eliminate? So this is actually a little bit more difficult to identify because it's actually been pulled out of the ground. Oftentimes when it comes to grassy weeds, they can look very similar, but it's how they're growing that will really identify what it is. So the first two things I would guess would be maybe a goosegrass or a barnyard grass. Again, because I can't tell how it's actually growing because it's on that table or whatever you have underneath it there, I can't be too sure. Now, if it's goosegrass, which is actually a type of crabgrass, it's actually called silver crabgrass, or barnyard grass, you can actually use BioAdvance Extreme Crabgrass Killer. You can hook it right up to your hose and spray down the entire area, and you may need 2 applications, but that should help to eradicate it. The other option it could be is some type of orchard grass. I'm not really leaning towards the orchard grass, but again, it's not in the ground, so I can't really tell. It does look like it's a young orchard grass, if that were to be the case. Unfortunately, with orchard grass, you're going to need a non-selective to kill it. So if it does, in fact, grow to become orchard grass, and that's truly what it is, you're going to need to use some type of a non-selective, and just be really careful on how you apply it because it's going to kill any grass in the area. So if it's in your lawn, it's going to kill that as well. Now look, the one thing you can do just to be on the safe side is to do your best and pull it. I don't know how big of an area that we're talking here, but my first gut is it could be either a young goosegrass or some type of a barnyard grass, in which case I would definitely pick up BioAdvance Extreme Crabgrass Killer over at Rosen's Online. If it's a barnyard, or excuse me, if it's an orchard grass, then again, I would do my best to just dig it out by hand. Otherwise, you need a non-selective, but be careful with it because non-selectives kill anything and everything that's going to be around that orchard grass. The 5th question is from Lou. Hey Tim, I have an ornamental evergreen that recently developed an orange-colored fungus or something. Can you identify it and help me get rid of it? So this is definitely cedar apple rust, and there are really 3 steps you need to take here. The first, unfortunately, is you need to cut off that branch where you're identifying it. It's a fungal disease and it will spread. So if it's not too widespread, I would definitely cut off that branch. The second thing that you need to do is I would recommend putting down Monterey Complete Plant Disease Control. We had mentioned that product a couple of questions ago. It's a great application for cedar apple rust. The third thing that you want to do is pick up some Plant Trust and make sure you feed this particular tree really well. The reason for that is, as you guys know, is the weaker a tree is, the more susceptible it is to diseases, funguses, and anything like that. So the more nutrition we can give the tree and the healthier that we can make it, the better off it's going to be. So again, cut off the branch where that cedar apple rust is located, use that product by Monterey, and then go ahead and put down Plant Trust. The Monterey and the Plant Trust are available over at Rosen's Online. The final question is from Carlos. Hey Tim, I still see lots of weeds and have some bald spots. What can I do for the weeds, and can I reseed some of the bald spots? Or is it too soon after the Turf Trust triple play that I applied? Hey Carlos, thanks for the question. Let's address the overseeding first. So because you put down the Turf Trust triple play, which is the fertilizer, gallery, and dimension, you're not going to be able to reseed for at least 75 days, okay? Dimension and gallery create a chemical barrier on the soil surface. And so if you attempt to reseed now, that grass seed actually isn't going to germinate. So what I would do is actually look ahead to the fall and consider reseeding or starting that process late August and early September. In terms of the weeds now, we'd recommend Bonide's Weed Beater Ultra. I talk about this product a lot on this program. I've used it many times. It's really effective. It comes in a nice hose applicator, so you can just screw it right onto your hose, turn on the water, and take care of any of the weeds that you're finding in your lawn. Again, it's available over at Rosen's Online. It's highly recommended. I would actually start to consider putting down Weed Beater Ultra in the next week or two. It's getting warm enough where it's going to be really effective. But again, in terms of reseeding, you're going to want to look ahead to the fall, because you definitely don't want to try and do that now over the summer, which is probably the worst time that you can actually start the reseeding process. Folks, just a couple quick final thoughts. You know, each and every week we get dozens of emails from customers asking for help in identifying weeds that they're finding in their lawn. So this kind of got us thinking, how can we impart our knowledge a little bit faster and more efficiently to customers to help them get to a resolution quicker in terms of how to eradicate, how to kill, and how to prevent that weed from coming back? Well, we think we found the answer with our weed identifier. Available exclusively on rosensonline.com, the weed identifier can work in two ways. First, you can scroll through our database of over 200 listed weeds and compare the pictures of the weeds on the screen to the weeds in your lawn. Once you find a matching picture, simply click on the image and a pop-up window will display showcasing the products that will kill the weed or help prevent it from getting established. However, some customers already know what the weed is. They simply need to know which product will kill it. Well, in that case, simply type in the name of the weed, click on the picture of the weed, and you'll be taken to the same pop-up window that lists the products you should consider. Folks, thanks so much for all the time that you gave us today. Remember, if you have questions, you can email me directly at tim@rosensonline.com. I answer every single email I receive, but give me at least 48 hours to get back to you before you send a second email asking me the same question. This is the time of year where we're really, really busy with customer questions. I promise I'll get back to you, but give me at least 48 hours to respond before you check back in. Again, folks, thanks for all the time that you gave us. I hope you have a fantastic week. God bless.